Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to another episode of Pax's Little Library of Horrors. Today I am going to be reviewing Funny Bones, which is the first book in the series, and I only know that because it says so on the back. This is published by a couple called Janet and Alan. Can't really say their surname, but there it is. And before I go any further, I just want to bring out Boris, as I've filmed 2 videos in the cemetery already and I haven't included him yet, and he's been kind of falling to pieces on me, so I thought it was appropriate because Funny Bones and Boris, you know, skeletons, you know, not that there's anything funny with skeletons, but I thought it was appropriate to bring him out for this video, so there we go. So, Funny Bones. This is how the story begins. On a dark, dark hill, there was a dark, dark town. And in the dark, dark town, there was a dark, dark street. And in the dark, dark street, there was a dark, dark house. And in a dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark staircase. And down the dark, dark staircase, there was a dark, dark cellar. And in the dark, dark cellar, some skeletons lived. And there was a big skeleton, a little skeleton, and a dog skeleton. So very, very dark, dark story. There we go. The town at night, and there's the skeleton family. He doesn't specifically say so, but I mean, it's got to be the dad, son, and their dog. One night, the big skeleton sat up in bed. He scratched his skull. "What shall we do tonight?" he said. "Let's take the dog for a walk," said the little skeleton, "and frighten somebody." Good idea, the big skeleton said. So they basically want to go out and try to scare people. So that's nice. So the big skeleton and the little skeleton and the dog skeleton left the dark, dark cellar and climbed the dark, dark staircase and stepped out into the dark, dark streets. Why does everything have to be dark, dark in this whole world? So there they go, they're going up the stairs, trying to find somebody to scare. They walked past the houses and the shops. They walked past the zoo and the police station. They went into the park. The big skeleton scratched his skull. "What shall we do now?" he said. "Let's play on the swings," said the little skeleton, "and throw a stick for the dog and frighten somebody." Good idea, the big skeleton said. So the big skeleton and the little skeleton and the dog skeleton walked around the dark, dark pond, past the dark, dark tennis courts, and up to the dark, dark swings. It's a miracle that that people can actually see in this whole world if everything's described as being dark, dark. Yeah. I mean, I know it's night time, but you know, you don't have to keep on referring to everything as dark, dark. The big skeleton and the little skeleton played on the swings. They threw a stick for the dog. Suddenly something happened. The dog skeleton chased the stick, tripped over a park bench, bumped into a tree, and ended up as a little pile of bones. So there they are on the swings, throwing the stick. The dog chases it and ends up as a pile of bones. All sad. "Look at that," the big skeleton says. "He's all come to pieces. What shall we do now?" "Let's put him together again," the little skeleton said. So the big skeleton and the little skeleton put the dog skeleton back together. They sang a song while they did it. I don't know why they have to sing a song while they put their pet together. The toe bone's connected to the foot bone's connected to the leg bone's connected to the hip bone's connected to the backbone. So there we go. They're happy while they put their deceased dog back together again. Then they got mixed up. Is this a toe bone? The little skeleton said. Where does this one go? The big said the big skeleton. When they had finished, the big skeleton said, "That dog looks a bit funny to me." "So he does," said the little skeleton. "We've got his tail on the wrong end and his head." "Woof," said the dog skeleton. So yeah, they've got confused. They put all the bones the wrong way and he's ended up back to front. So yeah, he's literally talking out of his arse. At last, the dog was properly put back together again. The big skeleton and the little skeleton sang a song together. The big skeleton scratched his skull. "That reminds me," he said, "we forgot to frighten somebody. Let's do it on the way home then," said the little skeleton. "Good idea," the big skeleton said. So the big skeleton and the little skeleton and the dog skeleton, it's always a mouthful when they have it like that, left the dark swings, went into the dark town and tried to frighten somebody. The trouble was, there wasn't anybody around. Everybody was in bed. Even the policeman in the police station was in bed. Even the animals in the zoo. Of course the skeleton animals were awake. So it's got a little mythos, a little lore. So they got like skeletons of all these animals. So you got a giraffe, fish, I don't know, possum, sloth, snake, and a pig. And they're riding on the back of an elephant and talking to a parrot. "Let's have a ride on the elephant skeleton," the little skeleton said. "Let's have a word with the parrot skeleton." The big skeleton scratched his skull. "Let's keep out of the way of the crocodile skeleton," he said. And skeleton involved the crocodile, and they're like, "Oh, we don't want to go in there." When they were back in the streets, and when they still could not find anybody to frighten, the big skeleton said, "What shall we do now?" The little skeleton scratched his skull. "Let's frighten each other," he said. "That's better than nothing." "Good idea," the big skeleton said. So they can't find anybody to scare, so they're going to scare each other. Which sounds a bit silly, but you know, kids' book, you know, I guess. So after the big skeleton frightened the little skeleton frightened the big skeleton and the little skeleton frightened the dog skeleton, and the dog skeleton frightened them. God, that's a tongue twister. How can you try to say that 10 times fast? And you got a picture of them trying to scare the dog scaring them. And one of them's in some laundry as a ghost. I think that's the little skeleton or the son trying to scare the dad. They hid around corners and frightened each other. They climbed up lampposts and frightened each other. They jumped out of dustbins and frightened each other. All the way home. And that is how the story ends. On a dark hill, there was a dark town. In the dark town, there was a dark street. In the dark street, there was a dark house. And in the dark house, there was a dark staircase. Down the dark staircase, there was a dark cellar. And in the dark cellar, some skeletons lived. And then it says, "They still do." So yeah, that's the page there. And this was a good one. Nothing outstanding as far as what I've read on this series so far. But if you've read any of the Funny Bones books, let me know what you think about them. Let me know if you have any nostalgia or memories as a child being read these, or reading them yourselves as a child. I feel like this one was a kind of a silly one, but it had kind of a dark undertone, because even though they don't mention it, these are obviously father and son with their pet dog, and I thought it was a little bit I mean, there was a slight dark undertone to it, but there was a bit of a silly twist to it, or silly little flavour to it. And that's, I mean, I suppose that Funny Bones, yeah, it has to be funny. But yeah, that has been my video, guys. Very short one. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it, guys. Once again, do not forget to check out the founder's channel for this whole series, Pax Panic. She's the whole reason why I'm doing this, in honour of my very, very dear friends, who is sadly no longer with us. But yeah, I will have her channel linked down below, so I would really recommend her channel. She is and was, or was and is, awesome. So highly recommend, guys. So with all that out of the way, I'll see you in my next video.